Well, let's bring in Mark Thiessen, former speechwriter for George W. Bush, Fox News contributor, and Fox News senior strategic analyst General Jack Keane, former vice chief of staff for the Army and chairman of the Institute for the Study of War. Great to have you both. General Keane, when you listen to this, it was interesting for it to focus the mind to understand that Biden and Xi have not met in person since Biden became president. And Biden says that he intends to continue to have America compete with China, but not have confrontation. Do you think that's possible?
Well, I hope it's certainly possible, but my concern is that, listen, there's a laundry list of topics certainly to talk about, but there is one topic that has a sense of urgency surrounding it, and certainly Secretary Blinken flagged it twice in the last month. He said it appears that China is moving to the left in terms of using military force to reunify Taiwan, 2 times in the last month. We have a military leader at Strategic Command who identifies the military weakness of the United States in confronting China in a war, and that we can indeed lose that war, something that I have said multiple times and other analysts and observers have said as well. So in my mind, the number one issue that needed to be put on the table here, and it doesn't appear that President Biden did, at least we didn't get that out of the press conference, was look President Xi in the eye and just tell him straight out, President Xi, listen, it is your aggression, intimidation, and coercion of Taiwan that's forcing us to upgun Taiwan and increase their training, and also to use our allies in a political and military alliance. And if you invade Taiwan, you're forcing my hand, and I'm going to confront that militarily. He needs to understand that. As a matter of fact, the president has said that 4 times in response to questions. Now we had the opportunity to put it on the table in front of him. We don't want to walk out of that meeting thinking there's any ambiguity surrounding this issue. And the fact that he says it's not imminent, I don't know what that means. Certainly the Secretary of State thinks that something's going on here. He has access to information none of us do. So that's my number one concern coming out of this meeting, that I don't believe the president put it on the table the way he should.
General, the tone seemed to be rather conciliatory. Friendly, I guess you could use that word if you want. I don't know what Xi's posture would be if he were standing side by side, but this is the quote that stuck out to me. When they asked him about Xi, he said he's what he's always been, willing to compromise on many issues. Have you seen compromise out of Beijing?
Not much. Listen, they love to talk. Their tone is always conciliatory. It's usually pretty friendly, except for a couple of exceptions to that. Talking is good. And certainly their counterparts are going to talk after this, and that had all broken down over the last several months. That's a good thing. But listen, we got to be realistic about this and don't put too much comfort into it. We have had counterpart-to-counterpart talk with Russia prior to the invasion. Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, Chairman of Joint Chiefs, time and time again. The President of the United States, time and time again. And what happened? Putin did what he wanted to do because he thought he could get away with it. So let's not be too comforted by the talks. Do we all want that to happen? Of course we do. But the Chinese are notorious for talking their fool heads off, frankly, and then taking completely different action than what is going on at these meetings.
Hey, it's Will Keane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Keane podcast for full episodes right now.